Hey there, welcome back to Dakota News Now. It is time for another edition of Owning Your Outdoors, and joining me as always is Doug Schroeder from Lewis. And Doug, I think last week we were talking about getting the garden all ready. I think this week we were talking about what kind of plants to put in there.
Right, it's all the fun stuff, deciding what you're going to plant and when you're going to plant it. So we want to discuss a little bit about that today. The one thing I wanted to just review a little bit is sunshine, water, good soil to get started.
And if you're using a container, lots of fertilizer.
That's true, lots of fertilizer. For the most new gardeners, I recommend starting smaller and then seeing how that summer goes and then work bigger the next year. You don't want to overwhelm yourself, and gardening does take a little bit of time and work.
Takes a little bit of time, work, some responsibility. I think what most people usually gravitate towards are tomato plants, right?
Yes, well, and excellent point, Aaron, because when you decide what you're going to plant in your garden, you really want to look at, okay, what's the grocery store have and what can I buy it for there? And does it taste the same as what I get out of a grocery? Tomatoes usually taste better if they're homegrown.
Right.
So look at that, look at what your family really uses and likes. And from that, you get a good start of what you're going to plant.
Now, once you've figured out what you're going to plant, there are what you called friends and foes for that plant, right? Could you explain that?
There are plants that benefit from each other being planted next to each other, and then there are plants that really fight each other. So we have a chart on that too, Aaron, that we're going to have online, just different tips on what to plant next to each other.
So could you give us a quick rundown of that? I see you have some radishes there. What pairs well with radishes?
And one of the biggest mistakes people do is they think, okay, I'm going to go plant my garden today. Well, there are different vegetables that like to be planted early, and then that are called hardy, and then there's semi-hardy, which can be planted a little bit later, and then your summer vegetables. It really depends on the temperatures which you give us. So then just look at that. We also have that information that we can share with you. And for instance, spinach and leeks are a good hardy vegetable. Radishes, carrots are semi-hardy, would be a second phase of your garden. And then your last phase is summer vegetables. They like heat from 65 on up every day. They need that heat to grow. Tomato plants, cucumbers, etc. If you plant them early, then they're not going to do anything.
So we're in late April, so we can still have some temperature fluctuation. So you just really recommend sticking to the hardy ones right now.
Hardy right now. We're getting close, maybe next week, for to get some of the semi-hardy product in, and then I usually wait until about the middle of May to do the summer veg.
Yeah, once the last freeze is well behind us, we have the summer to look ahead to.
Yes.
What other tips do you have for us this morning, Doug?
If you're going to plant a garden, always think about the height of what you're planting. If you have tall items like tomatoes, you might want to put that to the north end of your garden so it doesn't shadow everything else. Keep your shorter plants to the south end of the garden. Also organize. If you can use a trellis in your garden for your vine crops, your cucumbers, you'll save a lot of space.
All right, good tips as always for us this morning. Doug, we're going to have all this information online after the show, as well as those charts that we were mentioning just a little while ago. Make sure you stick around because we have FastCast